Jungkook said something that made Jimin break down in front of thousands of fans. No one would have thought that night would be such a difficult night for Jimin. No one imagined that amid the cheers of thousands of fans, amid the excitement of a big concert, a sentence from Jungkook would hit his heart so hard that he could no longer hold back the tears. For many, the night was a beautiful moment, but for Jimin, it became a moment where the world seemed to collapse instantly. Since the afternoon, the atmosphere behind the stage looks ordinary. The BTS members looked cheerful, they joked, preparing to perform in front of the army that had filled the stadium. Jimin and Jungkook, as usual, exchanged smiles, occasionally tease each other like two best friends who've shared the stage for over a decade. However, there was something in Jungkook's gaze that was uncharacteristic of that afternoon. There was a look in his eyes that seemed to hold something, and Jimin felt it, even though he didn't ask anything. When the concert started, everything went on as usual. They performed songs that made the army sing with passion, they danced with incredible energy, and they shared laughter on stage. But what Jimin didn't know was that night, Jungkook had prepared something. Not a happy surprise, not an ordinary announcement, but a statement that he had been keeping deep. Jungkook knew he could no longer delay. He had to say it right here in front of everybody, because if he doesn't say it now, maybe he'll never have the courage again. After the last song, the members began to give their message to the army. Jungkook, who usually spoke cheerfully, this time spoke in a heavy, soulful tone. He looked at the thousands of people who filled the stadium that night. Then he looked at Jimin, who stood a few steps away from him. "I want to be honest tonight," Jungkook said slowly. "There's something I've kept for a long time. Something that might surprise you, especially you, Hyung." Jimin looked at him, not understanding. He smiled a little, as if he thought Jungkook was just joking as usual. But that smile slowly faded as he saw the serious expression on Jungkook's face. Jungkook took a deep breath, then said, "All this time I felt like I was standing in a place that wasn't mine. I kept asking myself if I deserved to be here, next to all of you. And I've been thinking about leaving. Not for a second, Hyung. I really want to go. I want to leave all this behind." The sound in the stadium was instantly silent. Jimin froze. That sentence, so direct, so sharp. He never expected Jungkook would say something like that, let alone in front of thousands of people. He tried to control himself, trying to understand Jungkook's intentions, but his heart seemed to be crushed in an instant. Jungkook continued, "I kept this alone for years. I'm scared. I'm afraid you'll hate me if I confess that I'm tired. I'm afraid the army will be disappointed if I say that sometimes I want to quit." But the more I buried it, the more I felt distant from myself. Jimin could no longer hold back his tears. He covered his face with both hands, trying to hide his tears, but his body trembled. It does not know how to respond. How come Jungkook never told her this before? Why should it be expressed like this, on stage, in front of everyone? Jungkook approached him slowly. "Hyung, I know this is hard for you. I know you must be disappointed because I never told you. But I want you to know, the reason I'm still here is because of you. Every time I want to go, you keep me going. You're always there, even when I don't ask." Jimin looked down, his tears falling non-stop. He was devastated. Not out of anger, but because he felt he failed to realize that his closest friend had been holding the wound alone. He felt guilty, felt he should have been more sensitive, more questioning, more present. "I'm sorry, Hyung," Jungkook whispered as he hugged her. "I don't want to make you sad. I just want you to know the truth. I want you to know how important you are in my life." Jimin hugged Jungkook tightly, tears breaking on his best friend's shoulder. "Why didn't you ever tell me? Why did you endure everything alone?" Jimin whispered softly. Jungkook smiled faintly, though his tears also fell. "I'm afraid of losing you, Hyung. But now I realize I have nothing to fear." The night bore witness to the most candid moment of their journey. Thousands of soldiers wept as they watched their loved ones embrace each other, strengthening each other on stage. No more secrets, no more hidden burdens. After the concert was over, many wondered how Jimin really felt. Is he angry? Was he disappointed? But as he appeared in a live broadcast a few days later, with his eyes still slightly swollen, he answered everything simply, "I'm not mad at Jungkook." I was angry with myself because I didn't realize he was taking it all on alone. I just want her to know, from that day onwards, she will never walk alone again. Since then, their relationship has deepened. Jungkook is more open, Jimin is more sensitive. They are often seen together, paying close attention to each other and no longer let distance or silence separate them. ARMY appreciates their closeness even more because they know that what they see is not just friendship on stage, but that bond is built from honesty, pain, and sincerity. Over time, the moment became a turning point for both. Jimin and Jungkook never again let secrets separate them. They began to talk to each other deeper, more honestly, without fear of harming each other. Because in the end they understood, the wound was precisely what made them stronger, closer, and more understanding of each other. For the ARMY, that night became a memory that will never be forgotten. They witnessed how real and fragile the two figures who had been looking so strong were. They saw how human Jungkook and Jimin were. And from there, many were touched, many were inspired to also dare to say their hearts, to no longer harbor burdens alone, to hold each other's hands in difficult times. On various occasions afterwards, Jimin and Jungkook touched on the topic of the night several times. Although they did not disclose all the details, they often hint that what happened that night became one of the most important moments in their lives. Jungkook even said in an interview, "I'll never forget that night. I know I made Jimin Hyung cry, but I also know, since that night, we've come to understand more and more what it means to be present for each other." And Jimin, with a gentle smile, always adds, "I'm thankful he finally spoke. I'm thankful he chose to stay. I want her to know every day that she is never alone." From stage to stage, from song to song, their story continues. Not always easy, not always perfect, but always honest. Jungkook and Jimin walk side by side, with stories that once destroyed, but also built them up. They are no longer afraid to speak, no longer afraid to cry, because they know the most important thing is that they listen to each other and be there for each other. The audience, the ARMY, the world all bear witness to their journey. A journey begun by togetherness, tested by solitude, and restored by honesty. And as they always point out, their story is not finished. There are still many stages waiting, there are still many songs to be sung, and most importantly, there are still many moments that they will go through together, because in the end, in this spotlight-filled world, they find the one thing that matters most, belonging to each other. And that's enough to keep them going forever. The story served as a reminder to everyone that even the strongest people can be destroyed if they continue to harbor everything on their own. And sometimes, all it takes is the courage to tell the truth, even if it hurts. Jungkook had said it, and although Jimin was devastated in that moment, he also found new strength to continue walking with his best friend. In each subsequent concert, in each smile they shared, there was a story that only the two of them really understood. A story about how one sentence can be devastating, but it can also be liberating. A story of how they dared to face their greatest fears together, in front of the world, and still hold each other's hands. A story that will always be remembered forever.